and we will begin to introduce the players. As in the top left-hand side, it is going to be our blue Protoss player, representing Maturino, Astrea.
And in the bottom right-hand side, his opponent from Brazil, it is Erik for Cranky Ducklings.
Cranky Ducklings.
Astrea with a pylon scout here, but Erik is never gonna let his hatchery be blocked. This is his classic opening, a little bit earlier of a hatchery on the low ground than most players would have here. He is, however, going for an overlord instead of canceling an extra drone on the gas, which is sort of unusual for him.
Yeah.
And otherwise, he's chilling. Yeah.
He's chilling. Good analysis, cats.
Indeed.
Beautiful.
Pool before gas as well. So Astrea is going to be aware of this. And should anticipate that the link speed will likely be just a little bit delayed on the side of Erik. But of course, Erik gets that hatchery on the low ground, and that's always nice to have. Especially when your opponent went for a relatively quick probe scout here. So it's all Gucci. So we were just talking over the break. We're gonna probably buy golden chains next time we cast a live event for the show.
Yeah,
Cardi Z.
Absolutely, the Cardi Z
Giant. Yeah.
the Cardi Z experience. Yeah, for sure.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, gold chains. I'm sure we'll see some Cardi Z fans in the audience as well to represent. So.
Mm-hmm. Sideway hats as well.
Yeah. With big Z's on
I'm
them.
gonna do those.
Yeah.
Oh baby.
There's got to be like some very cheap cap we can buy with like a Z, just on in like a big Z on the front, and we'll just claim that as Cardi Z merch.
I like it. The probe there is actually not being microed. Astrea! Astrea!
Astrea.
That's wild.
Yeah, that's a probe going down. That was so unnecessary. That should have just pulled away. So, yeah, straight up, that's just a mistake. That shouldn't happen like that. So, yeah, that was not good.
No, absolutely not. Yeah, I was even surprised that the probe was patrolling on creep, but I guess it makes sense given the ramp. So, but then after the fact, he just didn't move it, right? So that was the real issue there. As now Erik is scouting around to make sure that there's no hyper fast third or something weird like that. And now he's gonna join both of his links to go inside Astrea's natural, where Astrea's gonna be forced to pull probes once again. Oh my God, what is going on?
No,
another one.
What?
What?
Astrea.
What is going on? He's in Korea. I'm gonna check the time in Korea right now just to see if there's any excuses that I can grab.
Yeah, you get. Well, I mean, if you want to get excuses, it's like 6:30 a.m.
6 a.m. It's 6 a.m. Yeah. 6 a.m.
I mean, I don't think you should be making excuses for the players, cats. That's so 20 something. I don't know. It happened at one point. But we only make excuses when Korean players don't win. That's something like that.
Oh, that's true. That's the classic.
You know, my favorite was that. I'll never forget when they did like the BlizzCon group stages in Korea. And then I can't remember. I guess Serral did very well there and stuff, and everyone was like, "Man, it's just such a shame the Koreans had to wake up at the normal time of day and just, you know, they're not used to having to play in their home server against the Europeans." It's like,
yeah,
any excuse, guys. Any
excuse will do.
Yeah.
A lot of links are going to fall here, as well as a couple of drones. So Astrea looking to equalize a little bit in this early game. Erik still with a little bit of a worker advantage at this stage, which is nice. And the Oracle actually gets mostly deflected. I think only grabbed 2 workers and is in the red. So Astrea now looking for a third, much faster than Erik, in fact, which is a little bit scary if you're an Erik fan. He's going to have to do something funky here, as the next adept also goes into the mineral line, finds a drone in the crack, impossible to micro out to make a spore. And another one, as Erik is not even going to bother microing that one. 6 workers, a very sloppy game, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, first it was Astrea dropping workers, now it's Erik dropping workers. We are not having a good time here. If you are a worker, your jobs are in trouble, as the Oracles are going to fly into this mineral line. Oh my goodness.
Oh my goodness.
The Oracle also goes down. This is like a game of like is there some mod on, like every unit you lose, you actually get like a mini buff or something? So like, I don't know.
Something, yeah. Like, I mean, this is very sloppy for these players, yeah.
Yeah, we just expect higher from these guys. That's the main thing to note. Is a melee upgrade, Hydra speed, Baling Nest. Pretty much everything is alongside that third hatchery. So We get that up and running.
The Mio Micah. I mean, and this has to be a very aggressive opening for Erik, who is at 41 workers, so producing 6 now and has lost a little bit of his economy earlier as well. So I would be surprised if he even attempts at saturating the third. The gas at the main, however, is already a little bit late. One of the gases in the natural is not completely saturated. Instead, we're going to oversaturate the main, so an unnecessary transfer as well. Just a very sloppy game. And sometimes when it rains, it pours, right? Like as a player as well, like you get thrown off, and then there's thoughts in your head of like, oh, I messed up there, and I messed up there, and it's a sloppy game. And you manifest that.
Yeah, no, it's that's actually very true, right? It's like you start feeling like, man, this has been a bad game, and you're just like, well, I guess I'm going to keep playing bad.
Yeah, it happens. It happens. You write it off, You're like, yeah, let's get
It's just like you get in a rhythm, right? It's like with anything, right? Like if you hit things perfectly, you keep doing things right, it's easier to keep doing things right. A lot of things are like that, so it's just kind of got that kind of vibe to it. As Blink will finish here. I'm worried for Erik. I mean, he's down a lot of workers already. He doesn't have an army supply that's threatening to Astrea either, so there's just, I don't see what Erik is set up to really do in this game. Like a Ling Hydra time with equal army supplies, that ain't doing it for me, cats. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, weird champ. I mean, like he's droning up behind this as well, right? So there really is no reason for him to be moving out on the map. It just makes very little sense. If you made more Lings behind this, if you made more Hydras, if you didn't saturate your third, you all in, sure, I can see it. Maybe, maybe it doesn't work, but that's at least some shot of it working. At the moment, all that he's potentially doing is selling Astrea on the idea that he is all-inning him and Astrea over prepares and drops too much static defense or something like that. But it's not like that's as damaging to Protoss as it would be to Zerg, where you're starting to make units instead of drones. Like Protoss can usually just do both, right? And Astrea is even confident enough to drop a fourth, so he didn't buy it at all. Muta? What is this? Now this is wild, right? Like you're going Hydras with upgrades with +1 milli. I'm not sure where he's gonna find the gas for Muta.
Is it because he saw the Robobane? He's gonna go Corruptors, maybe?
Maybe.
Are we on that kind of like timeline where Corruptors are actually eligible units for the game? Like, yeah, maybe as well. Like maybe that's. I think I like that more than Mutas at least. So, well, I guess we'll see.
For sure. I guess we'll have to wait and see. But there's enough Stalkers as well that Corruptors in small numbers are now going to be super effective, right? So you have to commit a good chunk. 12 more workers now on the way for Erik. His Ling Gramba is also going to get spotted. Astrea blinks on forward and will split his Stalkers to try to cut off the retreat as best as he can. And if he had kept going forward, he would have actually found the fourth of Erik. But Erik might have been pretty well prepared with Hydra Ling. That is the counter to Stalkers. So it is all about this Colossus. And yeah, Erik, I mean, he does have a lot of gas, so...
Yeah, well,
that's nice, I guess.
Gas banked up. He can build what he wants to build. He's got 11 lavas, so his choice. +1 fly attacks. It's Mutas.
Yeah.
Does he die if Astrea just attacks right now? These Lings kind of have to force Astrea to turn around a bit. And they will.
Yep. And that's really nice for Erik, actually. Very nice maneuver there. Astrea's going to catch the Ling counterattack, but like you were saying, I mean, I think it's more important to be on the other side of the map. So Erik knows that, and we see 2 lines of red parallel to Astrea's army and trying to look for some damage. This cannon is nicely tucked in, so it'll buy Astrea a little bit of time and keep him on his side of the map so that when Astrea starts pushing out, the Muta of Erik can actually go potentially into the main and start doing some more real damage and try to do the Bly, right, where you're forcing your opponent to basically commit to their attack, and if you can stop it, you're all of a sudden back and maybe winning the game.
The only thing is, though, I don't know if Erik is going to stop the attack, because he's still making Mutas, right? Bly was like building Roaches and Ravagers at this point because he knew the attack was coming.
Yeah.
And then the Mutas did a lot for how many he'd built. Now, extra Mutas, there's going to be no stopping this. And I genuinely feel like if you just start to base trade right now as Astrea, these Mutas never base trade in time. Like, Mutas are good at base trading, but they need to be in good enough numbers, and just not really seeing it. And obviously, Astrea's army is going to do a lot of damage quickly. Eventually, we'll have the numbers to be able to take on Mutas too. I'm not feeling this right now, but... we'll wait and see how it pans out, see if Erik can make it work, but yeah, he's got a mountain to climb.
For sure. I like that he split the Hydras and the Lings as well, right? Like, kind of bypass the army of Astrea. A lot of the time you would expect that army tries to defend, but against Colossus, it's just not going to do very much at all. So, full-on base trade is what Erik is opting to do here, and he has more bases to go through than Astrea does. Spire is going to get picked off before the +1 upgrade even finishes. So yeah, this is indeed a full-on base trade, but the Protoss is well ahead and in a commanding position to take it.
Yeah, absolutely is. A couple of drones do escape away as Lings are spawning. They are dying pretty quickly. Couldn't deny the burrow, which maybe could have been a fun play in some way, shape, or form. Astrea is even going to start trying to build a Phoenix right now. I think that might be a little bit hopeful, but these units have been dying off in general as we've obviously just had some warpins over here slowing them down and everything as well. It is 81 to 35 army supply. That's the big thing. The big thing for Erik is he still has the mobility, but he is very quickly running out of bases, and he needs to start building stuff on the other side, which you can do. The drones are out and about on the map. There's a couple of them here, a couple of them there, so should be able to build structures. Needs to get a hatchery down, basically, so you can stay unrevealed.
Yeah, even then, however, if Astrea just manages to keep his main alive, that's going to be plenty, and the third is pretty fortified as well, so it's going to be very difficult for Erik to breach, as he's now attempting. I believe on the other side, Astrea unopposed. Erik, yeah, there's 3 cannons, couple shield battery overcharge goes out. So Erik is going to wait that out and then look to probably re-engage. I mean, it's his only shot. A few more units rallied on forward. But even if he kills the third, it's going to be costly, and he's never going to be able to contend with Astrea's army, quite honestly. So the game is in the bag for the American.
Yep, that's going to be the last-ditched attempt to break through here as Erik, he knows he just has to pull the trigger. Obviously, Astrea's realizing this. He's going to recall home. That's going to be the GG. And that is going to be our game, as I think we're actually out of structures there as well. So I think he left just before the last structure died, pretty much. So that is going to do
really?
it.
That's cool.
Yeah, I think he left just before it died, or maybe there was one build and just cancelled when he left the game. But either way, he's pretty much out. So, and Astrea was recalling on top of the army that had pretty much no hope before the recall anyway. So
yeah,
that one was.
It's a rough one.
Decided for sure. Alright, so a little bit of a sloppy game, maybe a little bit messier than what we wanted it to be. But we got there. We got there in the end for Astrea. Again, he comes off of a 1-2 loss of Disc going into this series. So definitely, like I say, we expect Astrea to be a 2-0 player, maybe making his way to 3-0 today. Instead, he's 1-1. So we definitely expect him to be the heavy favorite going in against Erik. But like I say, Erik's that dangerous player because he is a little bit, I won't say random, you know, he is not afraid of mixing it up and doing things differently. And sometimes that works, and sometimes that also gives you these games where it's just like, you're Ling Hydra, 30 army supplies moving across the map while you're droning, dropping a Spire, and then it's almost too much going on at the same time, so, yeah.
On low economy too, like, it's like that third was very late to saturating, and so it is weird, right? And yeah, I appreciate it, but it's spreading yourself a little bit too thin, and Astrea is a little bit too good for that, so not gonna work out. That is a game where the first 2 links kill 3 probes, by the way. So like, yeah, I hope that this game is a little bit more of a match, because given the circumstances, I mean, you would think that Erik, you know, stands a pretty solid shot at killing Astrea after that. Like 3 probes that early in the game is so wild.
I know, he did a massive amount. I mean, that's not damage you should expect to ever find against Astrea randomly like that, so don't expect to happen a second time. You don't capitalize the first time it happens. I guess it's just that's not good for you, as in the top left. A blue VODs player from Maturino is Astrea.
Astrea, the virgin goddess of justice, innocence, purity, and precision.
Really?
And the bottom right-hand side, it is Erik, with a K. As far as I'm concerned, it's Nordic, the name, but he is from Brazil. Or is it Erik with a C that's Nordic and Erik with a K that's... No. Erik with a
C
Nordic,
is
right?
something we'd have in England, so definitely hold it.
The classic, yeah.
Very interesting.
Well, he's going for his standard 15 hatch. He's going to get it down as well. Astrea again going for the Pylon Scout. Not going to be able to do much about that. Is there the flying elephant on the other side as well, the whale shark, or just on this side?
No, just this side.
Like, can we, like... It's, oh, I see.
I think the reason is because it's a shadow. I'm pretty sure it's like it's actually a unit that's just super high above the map, like further than we can see. And so you can't actually get it to land on the other side because the shadow, you can't put the unit like on the map essentially. If that makes sense.
What?
Okay.
I don't know, that doesn't make any sense actually.
So you know how shadows work, right, guys?
I think so, yeah.
Light shines and it hits something. So for this shadow to be cast, I think the unit's actually like out in the middle of the map or something because the light shines from like the upper left or so. You know, yeah, you see the Overlord's shadow is down to the right of it. So the light always shines from the upper left to the right. So I think the thing that's flying around is somewhere above us over here. So I don't think you can get it
so that
over
it's that
here.
big.
Yeah, exactly.
That
so I don't
makes
think it
sense,
can
because
happen.
you would have to go north of where it. I see. So you would have to like add another map worth on top of this map in order to have a unit there so that it can project the shadow.
Exactly.
And be
now.
I now understand.
That could be completely wrong. It could be just completely made up, but that's how it makes sense to me.
Brilliant speculation. Yeah, that's one of the smartest speculations I've ever heard. That's brilliant.
I mean, if that's not the reason, then basically the map maker is really about the bottom right owner.
I guess so. Yeah. Wow. I don't know how you put that together. You've never surely thought about this before.
No, on the spot.
Have you?
No,
wow.
Clearly on the spot, Kat.
Wow. That's incredible.
I don't think I've ever tried to explain it to anyone, at least, so. As you can probably tell by my initial attempt.
Yeah, the initial attempt was poor to say the least, but I mean, it was in your head, which is the impressive part, right? 2 queens crossing the map, so probably a drone to follow to drop a hatchery. Nothing else really makes sense.
The real question here is, why is the light source always in the top left of the StarCraft map, man?
It always is? I hadn't realized that either.
I think so. I don't think I've ever seen the shadow on the other side of units.
Oh, interesting.
Very interesting.
Yeah, I'd never noticed that.
That's guess all StarCraft games happen at the same time of day.
Yeah. Wait, is this queens without creep? It's just like
these queens are just here to do some damage around. Apparently that's what we're doing right now.
I guess if there is a Void Ray, then you have a little bit of a timing where your 2 queens do win. So this is pretty good, actually.
I'm pretty sure Astrea just dies. He's building 5 gates, but he's going to lose power to these gates already before he warps in as well. So he currently has 1 Stalker against... These are also just slow Zerglings, by the way. Not really the scariest beasts in the world, but Erik's just going to walk in the natural up into the main base, and Astrea has nothing. Okay, he's warping in a 2nd Stalker right now.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously we missed this. He's gonna pile himself as well. Why not? Beautiful morph onto the Ravager there to prevent the probes from taking the Roach down. And Erik is gonna equalize the series with an insane all-in, actually.
Brilliant build. So brilliant, we were discussing light sources.
Yeah.
Yeah. Beautiful. All right.
Oh, well.
Well, you know what, Cats? That's what happens when they give us a silly first game. We get a bit silly for game 2, and then, Erik gets all serious real quick. It's not on us. That's Erik's fault.
The explanation was worth it, at least for me, yeah. The replays will be released, guys. But
look, we did watch the queens walking across the map. We did see that.
That is true.
I mean, if you don't build link speed and you just build roaches, I'm pretty sure you could pretty much figure out what was going on there. So I feel like you guys can replicate that build.
Yeah. Skip speed, make roach warren, work your first 2 queens across.
Apparently we are on the wrong map, so we're going to jump out of this lobby and jump in another lobby in just a moment. That was kind of wild, man. That was an America's build for sure.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
America's commentary as well.
Apparently chat needs to mention. Chat's now mentioning that light travels differently in water, and I say to that, I don't think that's how it works in StarCraft. Because unfortunately, these maps, they might pretend to be underwater, but in reality, they just lower their gravity. I know that's going to really spoil it for people, but the maps are not actually underwater, guys. Because otherwise, the Marines wouldn't be able to shoot their guns, So really, all the physics in StarCraft are just messed up.
They really are.
Yeah. Can we get some realism in our StarCrafts, please? Yeah.
That would be good. Yeah, indeed.
Alright, it's been a day, guys. We're having some fun. We got a best of 3 in a map left, so there's gonna be a straight Erik game 3 coming at you, as that was a wild build. And does Erik have something similarly wild ready for Hecate as we go into one final map?
We'll find out shortly.
Heck yeah, we are.
And we are in Hecate now, the bottom left-hand side of the map, spawning for the cranky ducklings. The wild man taking a drone right away off the mineral line, so it's some sort of weird shenanigans proxy. It's Erik.
With a K.
With a K.
And then top right-hand side, our Blue Protoss player from Maturino is Astrea with an A.
Astrea with an A.
Doesn't have a silent anything in front of it. Just Astrea.
Indeed. Where will the hatchery be, Bardicho?
Right here.
Okay. Good bet.
It's usually a good
There
bet.
it goes.
1, where the drone rallies. 2, and B, where the drone stops. I mean, I'd like to pretend this is my intense level of
you
stuff.
click 10 times.
Yeah. I'd like to pretend this is my real StarCraft knowledge and research coming into this one, but I just feel like, you know, you really set me up to give the good answer there, Kurtz. Thanks for asking the good questions.
I like it. Anytime. Astrea's gonna scout inside of Erik's main now, and after seeing that, hey, you didn't do your 15 hatchery shenanigans on the low ground, then he's gotta smell that something's up. And Astrea has scouted every game as well, so he shouldn't be caught off guard by the potential, at least, of a proxy. It's really nothing else that it could be at this point. If it was a map with a viable gold, I'm sure that's where he would be scouting. But Hecate has only a terrible gold, so...
Terrible gold. What's that?
Yeah, look at it. What is that?
What's that? It couldn't even be a full gold base, man. Like,
it could have easily been a full gold base. Like, there's a high ground behind it, you know, like it's super far away. I really don't know why it's not a full gold base. It's just like, hey, don't take this. Okay.
because cats people are scared of full gold bases.
Yeah. 2 drones here. Gonna start making some spines. Probably gonna need an extra drone or so for spores, as Stargate and the Void Ray are very likely consequences of this type of build. But the Serral actually finds the spines. He saw the drones moving there, so cancels one of them. That's already a pretty decent start for Astrea. However, the 2 links are gonna get inside, try to kill a probe. Second Serral is out. Cannons are gonna be made here on the side of Astrea as well. I'm not sure how much I like cannons here, to be honest. I kind of like Erik's position, believe it or not, because the spines are going to kill the wall for free, right? And Astrea knows that there's spines coming. So if this was some sort of all-in with links or banes or something like that, sure, go for cannons. But against the spines, I mean, the cannons are really just not going to do that much. Like, the wall is always going to be a liability.
Yeah, and the Adept also doesn't really help too much, right? Like, a little bit of damage on lanes, but doesn't really do anything to spines. Cannon gets a few shots off, and now we're going to have Cannon versus Spine Crawler action. As we can go head-to-head right here.
Spine takes this.
With the battery?
Oh, with the battery! Yeah, gotta reposition and just kill the wall.
Kill the wall.
You gotta reposition to kill the wall, though, my boy. I guess you can get the Cybercore and the Forge with this. So that's good enough for now. A lot of cannons on the side of Astrea. He does have a probe on the other side, or is it actually an Adept shading into Erik's mineral line as well? So that is very nice for Astrea. Only 4 circlings here, no Queen. A lot of investment on the other side of the map for Erik. So this Adept is doing pretty decently here. On the other side, the spines are starting to hack away at the wall off, and I mean, this is still pretty hectic and dangerous for both players, as Astrea now sets up for a proxy gateway on counterattack.
Warp gate will finish. That's a big deal. Cybercore will go down, so we can only really warp in Zealots, but better than not being able to warp in anything at all. So yeah, actually getting that warp gate up is a big deal, and was just so close. The Lings, if they commit a bit sooner, might have had it. As the Forge will go down, and we will continue to chip. We're going to take a step over towards the gateway here. And of course, more gates building in the main base as Erik just has a lot of Lings. No gas, no Ling speed on the way. He's just going to slow flood into this base at some point.
Yeah, and he seems to be aware that Astrea didn't go for a Stargate. I'm not sure how. I don't think the order saw it whatsoever, but it's good enough. Like, these 2 queens would get destroyed by just a Void Ray with a shield battery, right? So it's lucky that he hasn't had the need to make basically any spores or extra queens or anything like that on this side of the map. On the other side, the first warping of a couple of Zealots for Astrea is coming up. Here come the Lings. That is a lot of cannons, though. I don't see that working personally, but Erik thinks that it might.
I'm gonna go ahead and say this probably ain't good. The force fields were very good, as all of that took down a cannon.
Yep.
And 2 Adepts are in the main mineral line.
GG.
That is gonna be GG.